They were, in real estate, they either owned and were renting, and they were doing a lot of real estate housekeeping. We had to fire them, so it can really be abused. It is great. I mean, if you think about, when I was there, you had to wait for a FedEx in the mail, or a fax was a big deal, and now, the amount of information that you can get instantaneously is amazing. So there are a lot of benefits, but you really have to watch out. And it's no surprise that when we polled your parents and guardians and your teachers last year, the #1 issue was social media. And it's no surprise that a statistic that just came out with college students, freshmen and sophomores, they're finding that freshmen and sophomores are spending upwards of 13 hours a day on social media. And it's impacting their grades, and it's going to have a tremendous effect on them. So take this all in context. I guess, Officer, from your perspective, if they know something's wrong, if they get somebody tries to contact them, or they smell something's bad, where should they go first? Where's the first place they should go?
I mean, I would definitely just tell your parents first, and depending on what the situation is. I mean, if you're being bullied, or if you're seeing somebody being bullied online, you definitely have to tell a parent or a teacher. I mean, if it comes to the point where law enforcement would be involved, would be if it's threatening, any type of threat, that you would definitely want to contact us. If you saw something like the things that I showed you with the Twitter, if you saw something like that, I mean, you have to tell, your parents, who would then tell law enforcement, or you guys could come together, or the anonymous tip line. I mean, those things, those are big, and I know that it goes on. We know it goes on. I mean, the same thing, we just got a letter. All of us, all the police officers, we had to sign off. Same thing was happening. I mean, they check I don't have one, but a lot of those guys have Facebook. They watch them all the time. People were getting written up for things they were posting on there. I mean, it's it's monitored. Same thing, we're adults, and I mean, it's a weekend, we're having fun. They just don't think. They don't think to post that, but it just makes it makes you look bad. It doesn't make you look good as a person. So yeah, if you come across anything like that, definitely tell your parents. If it's something that would be any type of criminal thing, you would want to contact law enforcement, even if it was anonymously.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday, and hopefully, Officer Ackerman was saying, even if one or two of you get it, it's well worth her time and effort. I agree, but I want you all to get it. Believe me, we want you all to get it. So as if that wasn't enough, Mrs. Myers is going to come up. And Mrs. Myers spent 20 plus years, I believe, right, in human resources. And I have to tell you, in the corporate world, and it changed. When I was in the corporate world 40 years ago, sales and marketing really ran the companies. Today, you know what runs the companies? Human resources and finance. Those two run the company. It's money, and then their most expensive resource, which is people. And so I want you to hear Mrs. Myers and what she has to say about, if you can get through what Officer Ackerman is talking about in your adolescent years, and then you get with us to the career path, I want you to hear some of the things that can happen to you in the corporate world.
Do you know my presentation?
Oh, Mark, do we know where Mrs. Myers' presentation is? Was it on a stick? It was on a stick, right? Huh? You got it?
That's it. That computer's slow. Okay, it's on this one.
I thought there was this. I thought she had a memory center.
It's on this computer.
Oh, it is.
It's not on the screen. That's all right. Yeah, well, I'll just start out and say there's thousands and thousands of examples of, in the workplace, inappropriate usage of the internet. Unfortunately, every month I would get an email from the Chief Technical Officer with inappropriate activity on the internet. And it was my responsibility to do something about it. And, you know, unfortunately, you would have to terminate good employees because of inappropriate usage on the internet. I mean, we'd have managers and supervisors, I mean, there's just thousands of examples, but it happens. You don't want to be one of them. You don't want to go home and tell your parents and your wife and your spouse that you lost your job because of some really inappropriate activity that you were doing. That's not where you want to be. And it happens all the time. And, you know, just bad decisions, bad decision making. And there's always consequences to that. So just when you're using, you know, it's all about common sense. You know what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. You know, if your mom and dad were watching, would you do it? That's kind of the baseline that we use in business. Is, you know, I mean, is it appropriate or inappropriate? And somebody's going to have to judge that, and that's usually about how they judge it. You know, would you do that in front of your you know, spouse or your parents? So, with that being said, recruiters, when you're recruiting, I spent a lot of time recruiting, and that's one of the fun things that you get to do in HR, because there's a lot of things that are not fun. But that's one of the fun things is recruiting, and you come down to candidates that have all the same qualifications, and you select your candidates, and then you're going to go on the internet and you're going to research what kind of activity is posted about that candidate. I mean, is what you're posted, you're even looking for grammar. I mean, is it intelligent information they're posting, or are they using grammar very inappropriately? Those are some of the things that you're going to look at. You know, 91% of recruiters use social media to screen candidates. You know, it's not very many people that don't use social media and check those kinds of things out when they're hiring. Hiring is very expensive. Hiring a new employee is one of the biggest expenses that there are in business, because you know, we have to train you, and it's expensive to get rid of you once you're in a company if you're not doing your job well. So we want to get all the information possible. And so what are we looking for? You know, any kind of inappropriate photos or comments that the candidate is making. You know, everybody likes to go and have a good time and, you know, go to parties. But do you need to post it? You know, is it something that, you know, what's the reward benefit there? If you know, you went to a party and you were out drinking, okay, that's something that you do. Do you need to post it on the internet? Do you need to tell all your friends about it? Those are the kinds of things that you're going to want to start thinking about, because they do take a look at those things. And so what's the reward and what's the benefit of posting those types of things on the internet? You know, negative comments about other employers, or talking about talking about their previous employer and giving up competitive information. That's very costly to companies. Those are kind of the things that you're looking at when you're doing a background check on a candidate. Any discriminating remarks. You don't want to hire somebody that, you know, feels that way about whatever they're talking about. So I would never put anything discriminatory on the internet. You find out about lying about, you know, what their qualifications are sometimes on the internet. And then, you know, sharing confidential type of information on the internet. Those are things that you just don't want to do. So, and also being tagged in pictures, you're gonna you're gonna wanna take, be careful on what you're tagged in those photos. I mean, I think, who's the famous swimmer, Phelps, Michael Phelps?
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, Michael Phelps. He lost a lot of money because somebody tagged him in a picture, right? He lost a lot of endorsements because of the marijuana, the smoking the bong on the internet. That wasn't, so that cost him a lot of money. So you want to be very, very careful when you're tagged in a photo on the internet, because like the officer said, those things don't go away. They're always out there and people can find them.